Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good
Hello.
afternoon, good evening. I want to thank all of you for coming. And today we have the world-renowned chef. We got Chef D. I call you Chef D. Introduce yourself.
That's perfect.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy. Born and raised in Seattle, Washington. True Native American, African American, a little French, a little bit of this and that.
Right.
Always had a passion for cooking, started cooking at age 9. Raised by a wonderful single mother that taught me all of my deliciousness that I cook. And you know, I had kids pretty young, was married for 25 years, raised 3 amazing, beautiful women. After about 25 years, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. You have your separate paths. And then that's when my life changed.
Nice, nice. So
yeah.
How did you end up in Africa?
So about 2018, things unraveled. And like I said, I went from like a married life, very suburban, big luxury home, 2.2 cars, and living really nice. Had an amazing job working for Starbucks headquarters in Seattle as one of their top pastry chefs. When it started with the chain of events, I was driving down the street, pulled over, you know, just was following the traffic, getting off the freeway when a huge truck just smashed the side of my vehicle. I found myself climbing to the passenger side, trying to escape from my life, thinking I was going to die, when the wheel to the truck just kind of bounced off just before going over the driver's side, totaled out the car. I always had great insurance, gap and everything, when suddenly they couldn't find it. So I was left with no vehicle. I rented a vehicle as long as I could. In short, wasn't able to maintain my job. The distance was too great. The marriage completely fell apart. So I found myself in this huge home by myself, empty nest, trying to figure out how am I going to afford this with no job.
Right.
And, you know, over the years, I collected so many, you know, antiques, and I had, like I said, a very nice, very beautiful home. And I remember just being very depressed and feeling isolated and alone and asking myself, what am I going to do? And what about my things, all of my beautiful things? And I swear I heard a voice say, those are just things. So I had been corresponding for years with friends and people I consider family in Tanzania. They had been saying, you need to come, you need to come. And it's amazing when you sell your things, how you buy it for thousands and you get hundreds. So I had sold everything and I was sitting with you know, under $1,000. And I was like, wow, what am I going to do? And something said, if you don't buy a ticket and just go to Africa, you're going to spend your money. So a couple things happened. My brother had called me that day. I heard that message and said, I just sold a house and I want to bring you some money. I said, oh, really? Okay. And I was shocked because that's unheard of from your family at times, you know? Right. So he came and he handed me $800. Well, before he came, I looked up the ticket and it was $800. So I said, okay. So I bought my ticket to Africa. And that's when I started my nomadic life. I just went by myself. I've never been to even New York or Texas or Florida, just Pacific Northwest, never been to Hawaii. And I went from just America to my first international flight to straight to Tanzania, Africa. Landed with just a few $100s in my pocket and was like, I'm here.
So what was your initial shock? What was your initial thought of Africa?
I just remember looking at everyone and just thinking, wow, everybody's Black. Everybody's Black and everybody's beautiful. And there was just all these beautiful brown people everywhere. And it didn't look poor. I was like, this is really nice. This beach is nice. It's gorgeous here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now my first time I went to Africa, I got to the airport and this guy asked me, said, "So where are you from?" I said, "America." He said, "So what's your tribe?" I was like, "My tribe?" I'm like, I don't know. I said, "I think that's why I'm here, to find out more about my roots." And he said, no problem, brother. Welcome home." And when he said, "Welcome home," man, it brought tears to my eyes. And I'm thinking, wow, no one's ever told me welcome home in a country.
Yeah.
And it was just a powerful feeling.
Yeah. Caribou Numbani, welcome home.
Yes, yes. So what was the biggest adjustment you had to make?
Oh, the language barriers and the misconceptions of what Africans think about Americans. It's pretty funny because they think we're just rich, that we carry ATMs in our pocket, and we they don't know. Some of us are really struggling. So when I kept saying, I was homeless because, I sold everything and I was just homeless for a little bit there, they didn't believe me. I had a hard time with that. It's like, there's a lot of homeless people in America. We're just homeless.
Yes.
Things happen, so that was my first major struggle. I think the second was food.
Trying to adjust to their food?
Yeah, I had realized that it seemed like they were eating just the same thing on every corner, every block.
Yes.
I was tired. I was like, I didn't find variety right away.
Right. I learned real early that we eat here in America it's a hobby, it's a sport. But you go to other countries, they eat for survival.
Exactly.
And it's a big difference. I remember talking to one guy, I said, "Well, what do you eat?" And he said, "Man, I'm African." He's like, "I eat rice, I eat chicken, or I eat, cornmeal every day." And I'm like, "Every day?" He said, "Yeah, every day." Yeah. He's like, "I'm African, that's what we do." So is it hot there all season, all year long?
It depends on where you live. Like, I live in an area climate that's a little bit more cooler, but yeah, for the most part, it's at least 70 to 80 degrees, 78 to 80 degrees every day.
That feels good.
At night, it can drop down into the 60s.
Okay. Now, how has living there changed you as a person?
That's a good question. You're getting me with some of these questions. I think that you become, first of all, more cultured. I felt bad as an American. I remember one day I had a breakdown. I cried really bad because I felt like we were bad people. Excuse me, why?
No.
Sweat to death.
I
said, we're bad people. We are bad people. We take things for granted. We are a land of waste. We just have too much of everything. So I've become very simple. And even though I'm living in a nice house now, I mean, I'm fine with just simpleness, simple food. My cooking game, it got stronger because I can cook anywhere, anytime, with anything. I just look at life more humble, more open. I'm more sympathetic than I used to be. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give other people who are thinking about moving to Africa or thinking about moving to another country? What do you wish you would have known prior to moving?
Learn the language a little bit more. Gain more knowledge on language before you jump. I mean, I knew the basics because I had some training, but learn the language a little bit more. Dive into the culture so that you're not culture shocked or offended easy. We're sensitive. We are very sensitive people, Americans.
You think so?
So we're easily offended. So when the mamas, the ladies around here be like, "Yeah, you're fat." I'm like, "Who you calling fat?" You're like, "No, that's a good thing." Oh, I'm sorry. "Yeah, mama, you look great." I'm like, "Oh," so just simple things like that, just learn the culture, understand the food that you're going to go eat. Sometimes we are portrayed one thing on media, then we go and it's another thing. So broaden your horizons with culture, food. And if you're a tourist, look for the unbeaten path. That's where you're going to find the best memories.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your cooking channel.
Okay.
And show. What do you do?
So I host a show called Deelishishness Travels. And right now we're highlighting Tanzania. And it's all about the voice, the food, the culture, the music, the history. We touch everything. I try to move in a way where you're getting a little bit of everything in each series. So I'm touching everybody's heartstrings or their niche. I'm trying to draw you in. So, we typically start off with the movement of the city. Where I'm going to go today, it could be a hotel or restaurant. We'll go visit that place, meet with chefs. We might cook together or they might cook for me. I taste the food. I describe what I'm tasting. We jump into the history. We try to connect something with the restaurant, name, food, area, location, something with the restaurant to focus on the history of that area. And so right now in Mwanza, which is the second largest city, which has been an underrated city, is where my focus and target has been in Tanzania. Because people tend to land here in the big city, Dar es Salaam, and they go directly to either Kilimanjaro, the second largest mountain, that's where you went. That's how we met, came in acquaintance with each other.
Right.
Or they go to the Serengeti, or they head to Zanzibar, the second largest capital of spices. It's very beautiful. Or they go anywhere, but they don't know that Mwanza is right here. And it's right on the edge of Lake Victoria, the largest lake in the world. And it is beautiful. And its nickname is Rock City because the way the rocks, it looks like someone had, like giants came and stacked the rocks in all these Zen formations. And then people climbed up there and built houses all around them. And every day when I go out, I look at the landscape and I'm looking like, is that rock gonna fall? Is that boulder gonna fall? Because there's 3 smaller boulders under the big one. It's beautiful here. I eat tilapia, the original tilapia of the world, and Nile fish, and it's gorgeous. So I found out this place is a plethora of knowledge and wealth and history. And it's beautiful. The people are humble and kind and they're eager. And they don't really have that, oh, you're a rich American syndrome here. So this is where I've made settlement. And this is where I film. And so you'll catch series 1 of Deelishishness Travels, which is on the network Taste on TV. They're in Los Angeles, the first African-American culinary network in America. That's where you'll find Deelishishness Travels. And season 1, we did a lot of touring, just history, checking out all the hotels. Season 2, we get big. We do the Serengeti. We go over to Mount Lushoto, the hidden exotic mountain where I still don't understand how tropical plants and winter plants are all growing together. It still doesn't click in my mind. I'm like, is that a pine tree and next to a palm tree? I don't. We go over to Pagani, beautiful, beautiful beaches of Pagani. We meet some locals, we hang out with Maasai. The second episode is gonna be historical. It's amazing. So that's what I'm out here doing.
You're teaching me a lot because all I know is Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar. That's it.
Wow, I went and explored 100,000-year-old caves in Tonga. Yeah, and there's so much more to show people. And there's parts of this region that the own locals haven't explored.
Oh.
So this is a magical place. I'm always in shock.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing. I'm getting ready to start a YouTube channel, and it's going to be all about cooking Tanzanian, cooking this culture. It's going to go both ways. So the Tanzanians are going to learn American culture, and you guys are going to learn Tanzanian culture.
Nice. Now, please teach me how to cook some cheese grits.
Cheese grits all day, every day, no problem. That's easy.
If you teach one to cook some cheese grits, I might go over there and make her my wife.
I got you.
All right, thank you,
Cheese
ma'am.
grits are amazing.
Now let's talk about
Amazing.
dating. How is it?
Dating.
Yeah, what's it like dating there?
You know, I think that a lot of Americans that come here, single women, we tend to not date as much as you would think. Again, the agenda, what does this lady have for me? Often they already have somebody. I don't know, there's, you know, just as many players here as there is anywhere else. So I kind of just been keeping to myself. I'm pretty busy, you know, so you'd go out, you have a good time, you dance all night, you make some friends, you go home, you keep in contact with them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But personally, I don't have a lot of experience with dating over here.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah.
You're focused. You're focused on
Yeah.
your career. So I don't blame you. I don't blame
Yeah.
you. You dance every night and go back and get focused again.
Yeah, you can have a good time. Sometimes you just have a quiet time too. Just relax.
So I'm going to open up the door for questions. Okay.
All
First
right.
one, Sheila. Can you hear me, Sheila?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, so good
How
to
are you?
meet. I'm very good, thank you. A little cold here, but very, very good to meet you. And
Good to meet you too.
thanks for inviting on the Zoom meeting. I was listening to your experiences in Africa, and it kind of reminded me like when I remember when I first went to Cape Town, and I thought to myself, it's so white, you know, like I wanted to see my people, you know, and I remember Cape Town was so white. It kind of reminded me of like going to sort of like South Beach, where you know, see a lot of, you know, mostly white, but you know, blacks here and there. And then we went to, you know, traveled more into Africa, South Africa, like Botswana and Johannesburg. Then you got to see the people and everything. But I really, really applaud you for taking that leap. I don't know if I could do it, you know, like leave everything and just, like I say, take that leap and just, you know, go out there and find your niche. I really applaud you for that, you know, because I know it must have been very hard to do. The cooking, it sounds like so, I'm very interested to see some of your recipes and the food and everything like that, like especially the you know, the different African foods and things, because it is a specialty. I'm interested to see, like, what is your favorite African dish that you tasted or prepared?
I really like makange. Makange is a sauce that you can pretty much use universally, from vegetarian to any type of meat. But it starts with onions and ginger and garlic, peppers, tomatoes, sauteed, and you kind of add just the standard. They have like a standard Maggi, you know, Maggi seasoning that they can add, or you can add a little bit of bouillon of your choice. You saute it up, you know, and for some reason it's just magical. I don't know what it is, but it could be the produce here, because the produce here coming from the motherland is so flavorful. Let me tell you, the first time I had chicken, I was shocked. I was like, I couldn't stop. I think I ate chicken every day for a week because I couldn't get enough of the flavor of real chicken and real beef.
Yeah.
So I really like makange, and I think that's going to be one of the first dishes I introduce because it's simple, it's easy, and it's delicious. It is really delicious. So
sounds good.
Yeah, you can Google it just to kind of see a little bit more what I'm talking about. But thank you, Miss Sheila, Sister Sheila, I'm telling you, it's not easy to jump up and sell your life. You know, that 25 years of things and your memories, the tables, the pictures, you're like, ah. But you know what? I realized it's replaceable. And I thought I was giving up a lot, but I gained so much. I gained so much.
Wow.
That's okay.
That's the only thing that matters, you know, in the end, you know, is what you gain. You know,
Yes.
we think we lose when we take a leap, but what
Mhm.
you gain is so much more. And that's the only thing that matters. But I just want to say one more thing before, I'm sorry. When I first went to South Africa, I went like with a
Mhm.
traveling group, and the host, you know, was, you know, telling us all these things like, don't sample any kind of street food because you don't know what's in it and you could get sick and, you know, this and that. And then like, if you're ignorant, you know, like to traveling and going to Africa, because we hear so much about Africa and it's not always the good things about Africa. So
Exactly.
here I am, I'm like, oh, you know, I can't eat this mystery meat, this mystery food that they're cooking and it smells so good. But then I'm like, no, I got to stick with what I know, you know.
Mhm.
And then lo and behold, we went to this restaurant. I had worm. They had like
Oh
fried,
no.
and I had worm, and it was so good. And then I even had ostrich. That's what it was, ostrich.
Yes.
It was so good. I was like, why are they telling us not to eat these things, you know? And it's so good. But thank you so much.
You're right. You know what? To be honest with you, when you're first traveling anywhere international, they do tell you to be careful about the street food. There's always a sanitation issue. Their sanitation is way below ours. So it is easy for us to get sick. And so you got to be smart, you know, you got to kind of look and see how they're working, how they're preparing the food, if they're touching, licking, touching too many things versus, you know, if they're moving pretty fast. Now, if they got a big crowd of people, they don't have time to be dirty. They're just moving through the food. I would probably go there. But if there's someone over there, just kind of, you wander over there and they're by themselves, you taking a chance. But you can always pretty much trust like baked items. If it's baked, pastries, you're pretty much okay. But yeah, it took a long time for me to know what street vendors to go to, and I did get sick a few times before I learned. But now my immune system is more Tanzanian, so now I could just go out there.
Now, the trip she's talking about, her and I went on a group trip to Africa. So we did South Africa, Botswana, Zambia,
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, and it was an awesome experience. And I was one of those guys that had to get some street food. And
Yeah.
we were on a tour one day and we were moving so slow, I was starving. And I saw this dog vendor. I was like, man, I'm going to get me a hot dog. I went and got a hot dog, brought it back to the bus. I'm like, Sheila, you want some? No, I'm good. No. I tore that hot dog up. But while we were there, we had, what was it? Ostrich. There was, oh my God, wild boar.
Yeah.
There was, oh my God, I can't even think of it. Now, wildebeest. We ate everything. And the worm
So
she
good.
spoke of, that was I think it's like a mopad or something worm.
Oh, the fat ones.
Yes. And it was fried, deep fried.
Those are actually good.
Oh, it tastes like chicken.
Yeah. Buttery. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Miss Sylvia, go ahead and.
Hi, Miss Sylvia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to see you.
Thank you. And you're so beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, thank you. You too.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions. So if your situation had not changed for the dire, would you have made this transition to Africa? And if so, would you have planned it accordingly, or would you have stayed in the US if things got progressively better for you?
I think I would have been one of those people that put it on a bucket list, and who knows if it would have happened. I might have planned and then started a position and then unplanned, because that's kind of how my life was. I was pretty work focused. I also had a small catering business. So I was just very work focused. So I don't know. I think I would have kept making up excuses to why I can't go. I'm busy. And
No,
so
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
yeah, the forces, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, sometimes will drop things because will shake up your life for a reason, because you're idle and you don't know it.
No, I agree with you 100%, because sometimes we have to be pushed in order to make decisions that we've put off for years. And my other question is your transition to Africa. You stated earlier that you had friends there. I don't know if you had family or not. So you had $800 that your brother gave you to purchase the ticket, and then you're off the plane with whatever, I'm assuming whatever you could carry in your luggage that was allowed.
Yes.
You step into Africa, and then what happens? What preparations did you make prior to going?
Other than letting the family know that the friends that I consider family know that I was coming so they could prepare for me, I was scared. I was terrified to even admit I'm not a rich American. I didn't know what was going to happen, if they were going to abandon me. So I remember walking to the airport and shock. I was kind of like in shock and thinking a lot. And so I waited a couple of days, because, it takes you a couple of days just to relax and everything. And then I pulled them aside and I told the truth. And I was like, I only have a little money now. Yeah, I had money coming, but I didn't land with it. And so I was like, if you could just bear with me. And they're like, Hakuna Matata. We have plans. We're taking you here. We're going there. They took me everywhere. I went everywhere. I went to Arusha, Moshi, Masoma, where I'm at, Mwanza. I went to Zanzibar. I went to Bagamoyo. They took me everywhere. And I love that we went simple on the bus, very inexpensive. And that was the most rewarding part, is I really got to see the land. So yeah, I was terrified.
So you would have been more terrified, assuming if you did not have friends welcoming you when you got off the plane.
Yeah.
So the transition is good to go to another country, as long as you have, number one, a solid plan financially to support yourself, just in case your friends decided, how some American friends are, come, but can only stay a couple of days, and you're on your own.
Right.
So
the thing that I can appreciate about Africans is they're so unlike us. They just won't put you on the street. They don't turn their back. That's why there's no homelessness here, unless they want to be homeless. You find out about the street kids, but they're like a little gang. They form that little gang. They want to be out there. That's what they want to do, and the community just takes care of them. But that they just don't, as long as you have a good connection. These are people I had talked to for many, many years, and we've grown to love each other from afar. So even if you have a good connection, or even people like me, real Americans, there's a lot of expats here that won't turn their back, because we have learned to be different. And so good communication and people you care about and trust. That's the key.
Oh, that's awesome. So are you forming a group? So us non-expat that are considering coming to Africa to try it out, so we could look you guys up. And
look, you guys come on over. You see this house? I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it, I don't think, but
no,
I don't know if I can turn the camera. Let me turn the camera. Oh, nope, it still shows me. I don't know how to fix that, but I'll take pictures. I was gonna let you guys see that this is a place you can come. I have a 4-bedroom, beautiful house. I occupy 1 bedroom. I have a gourmet kitchen. I mean, I feel like now I'm living real luxury, and I'm in Africa. I'm never hungry. I don't have a big budget. It's just, come on, let me take care of you.
I may look you up on that if I get out of my fear
on,
bucket. Absolutely. Then my final question is in reference to your transition. I know that you're a chef and you had friends there, you had money coming, as you stated before. How long did it take you to transition from your friends' homes to your own home to where you felt stable enough to go out on your own?
Very good question. So I started coming here in 2018. So when I came the first time, I stayed for about 3 to 4 months. I came, but every time I come, I stay a little longer. Okay. And so when I signed the contract for the reality show, is when I really had to take the training wheels off. And that was another moment where I had to think about money, budget. Now I'm taking on a project. As a producer, I'm producing the show. This money comes out of my pocket. So I stayed in the village. So the village is thinking, well, what is this? Why is this lady here? And I'm thinking, how am I going to start filming? And that's when I had to be more vocal, look for people that spoke English, hang out more. You know, I stayed at a hotel that had a bar, restaurant bar, and I would just hang out in there, you know, and just get to know people and not just stick in the bubble of the friends that I knew or who they introduced me to. And so if you want to be successful and fit in, you have to just take the training wheels off, take off one and the other and just be brave. But I had enough programming and training to know good from bad, right from wrong, safety from non-safety so that was the training wheels. So I was able to take them off. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And congratulations to you and to your courage and much, much success to you.
I look forward to meeting you in person.
Well, you never know, maybe knocking on your door.
Please come. Please come.
Thank you.
I'll post some pictures of the house in the group and you guys can see. You're welcome.
All right. Our next person is Techno Spark. Who is Techno Spark?
Techno Spark.
I'm Zahora from Arusha.
Ah, Zahora. How are you? Zahora is my new employee, you guys. Nice to see you. You'll be here in a few days.
Me too. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, so you guys, I opened up another catering business here in Tanzania. I'm licensed and everything, and Zahora is coming to be my first employee. So he's coming to Arusha to live in this beautiful house, and he's gonna learn American continental cuisine, and we're gonna feed Maza. And they're very excited for this food.
Techno, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for visiting us.
Yeah,
you need to join the group. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll see you soon. Be safe. I'm excited.
All right, Miss Sylvia Mitchell.
Okay, hi. Hi, Miss Sylvia.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good, Miss Beautiful Lady. I love the Nomads. Is that a blanket?
It is. It's the same blanket.
Oh, I need one of those.
Behind him, yeah. It's in the shop, by the way.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you for doing the Nomad chat with us. I think that James has found the gold mine in terms of really stimulating our community and group with interviewing nomads from around the world so that we can get not only motivated, but inspired to take the leap if we want to step outside of our comfort zone. I love what my sister friend Sylvia said when she said that, you know, it must have taken a lot for you to step outside, knowing that you had nowhere to go. You know, you're at this, and we hear this story a lot. I know that when we interviewed Candace, she was at that point where she had this blossoming career. She thought she had her plan figured out. And then boom, you're realizing that you're slowly unraveling and you're broke. You don't have anything. You know, she lost her home, all of this. And then for her, it was Jamaica a bust. And for you, it was Africa a bust. So I personally admire you and say kudos to you,
Thank you.
because a lot of times, like you said, whatever upper power, higher being we believe in, God, universe, whatever, forces us out of what's so comfortable for us. Because there's a bigger plan for us. We'd never
There you go.
agree what our ultimate path was if we didn't step out and take that leap.
Yes.
So I completely applaud you for that. I'm so in awe of you for just
Thank
making that
you.
and finding your niche and getting there, and not only just being an expat, but being a part of their culture and community. My question is, from being a chef and being so familiar with the American cuisine and how we prepare food and the flavors and how we spice it up, so to speak, how did you make a transition once you were in, well, I say Tanzania, but Tanzania, to, what process did you take to become acclimated to their way of cooking, preparing food? Because I mean, it's one thing to cook, but you want people to enjoy it. So what was your process in making sure that you understood the culture and how they prepared food and fixing dishes that would actually meet the needs of the people who were hungry?
Very good question. You know, the first part of that is technique. I have a lot of technique from 2 degrees, from the pastry side and the culinary side. So you gain technique. When you study, you already learn a lot about culture and food and spices and what goes where. And then when you come here, being a chef, you have a palate where you can pretty much taste things and you break it down. Then you watch people, pay attention to their preparation. You ask the local aunties and mamas, can I come and cook with you? You know, they're not just eating local food here. You know, there's, for example, in Dar es Salaam, the largest city, there's nothing missing. If I want Mexican food, I can go get Mexican food, Chinese food, Indian food. There's nothing missing there. It was that I had noticed where I'm at, this region and certain other regions, they want Mexican food, Chinese food, African-American food, a good hamburger, but it wasn't available. And so, I kind of found a community where there's a lot of Americans living here. But there's just really not a lot of different culture here, but they want it. So my food is already very good. So there was nothing to do but just introduce my food, introduce myself. And I think that they're very surprised when I cook their Swahili cuisine, and sometimes it's better than what they know or what they've tasted. But we're African. We are African. I'm African. When we were slaves, we brought certain food from Africa that we are eating. So one of the things I laughed at, I said, you know what? They barbecue everything. We barbecue a lot. They eat greens with everything. We love greens. They eat potatoes. We love potatoes. They eat ugeli, which is made of cornmeal. We love grits. It's the same. It's similar. You know, we are eating the same thing. All that has changed is technique. And we eat onions and tomatoes. We cook everything in onions and garlic, and so do they. You know, we love bell peppers. They love bell peppers. So these are things we've been eating, corn and sweet potatoes. The only thing is that we have gained more technique because of the culture we were introduced to as slaves. So now what I'm doing is bringing that technique back to Africa. So there's sweet potatoes growing everywhere, but there's not a sweet potato pie in sight. Now, if I make them sweet potato pie, they're going to be shocked. What? You know, when I take the ugeli and turn it into grits, they're like, oh. When I take a bell pepper and say, let me chop the meat up and mix this and that in it and stuff it inside and bake it, they're like, we never thought about that. But it's all the same ingredients. It's just mixed into a different format. So it's pretty easy. And so it's exciting. They eat fried chicken, but they don't really eat it the way we eat it. You know, so they're excited. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's great. I'm sure that's an awesome experience. And my other question was, I know for me, living in another country, I have to research the healthcare,
Mhm. Mhm.
what's available,
Very good.
what, in terms of what I have here, in terms of what may be available in whatever country I land in. So how have you, what has been your experience with healthcare there? What are the pros and cons? Do you have like an international insurance? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm so glad that you asked me that. So I'm going to be very, very transparent right now. So let me even step it up a notch for you guys on just the bravery. I'm a kidney transplant patient. When I told my doctors I'm going, they were like, very worried. They were worried about medicine, lack of medication, medical care, and everything. But when I did my research, I had found out that there was quite a few different doctors, that nephrologists, that there's a lot of hospitals here from Europe. You can get international medical insurance, but the cost of the bills are very low. You can pretty much just pay it. So in 2019, I had an incident where I think what happened is I missed my flight, and I timed my medication for my transplant to that flight and getting home. So when I missed it, I panicked. And I thought, I'm gonna die in Africa. I'm gonna lose my kidney. And so when I calmed down and did the research, I found out there was a very good hospital called Aga Khan. They're known worldwide, and their facilities are American facilities. So I went there, I was admitted, and I was shocked. First of all, the room that I was put in was like a 5-star hotel. I had an ocean view. The bed that they give you is the size of a full-size bed. I had a 72-inch TV. I had a room service, could order any food anytime I wanted. I had a couch, a chair, a safe, a refrigerator, and I couldn't believe I was in the hospital.
Wow.
I was there for 7 days. They did every test, every medication, every doctor, all day, every day. It was less than $1,200.
Get out of here. Wow.
Just make payments every month from America. Done.
Wow. That's
Done.
comforting.
Yeah, done.
Wow.
I just had COVID, unfortunately. Went to a hospital here called London Health. They gave me my test, my medicine, this, that, and the other. $100.
Wow.
Very good care. I had better health care here than in America. I am a weak stick when it comes to getting blood. I get stuck 5, 6, 7, 8 different nurses. African comes in, boom, takes the blood, done. I'm like, educated. Educated.
Wow.
So if I can come here with my kidney transplant, all the medication is here. All your medication is here. I proved my doctors liars.
Yeah, it's all about information, because you're right. I've traveled before. I have a chronic illness, so I have to let my gastroenterologist know every time I'm going someplace to say, hey, I'm going here. Do you have any recommendations for contacts there if I needed medical care? And it's always, oh, you can't go there. You can't get the same treatment. It's subpar. And then you get to these countries and you realize the medical facilities there are much better. As a matter of fact, the doctors are treating you better than, we're so oversaturated with everything here in the States. But that's very encouraging to hear, because the misinformation that we receive inside of the States, I think it's a little bit of propaganda, but at the same time, you're right. We're told you can't do this. You're going to get sick. You're going to die. And to hear you say this now is like, okay, well, maybe I need to come to Africa just to have a procedure to get that kind of experience.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
I have no fear here. No fear.
Yeah.
If it's something super major, I know how to come home.
Yeah.
To America. So sometimes, so every 6 months I'll pop in, get a checkup. If there's something that needs to be done, I have it done, and I come back here.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sylvia. Thank you for your time.
Great questions.
Appreciate you.
Questions. All right.
Yeah.
Mary Jefferson.
Okay.
All right. Talk to us. You have any questions?
Not really. She's a beautiful woman. I really wanted to say
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
And same thing, I think it's amazing, to what you beautiful women, our Black women are doing, very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm really close in mind to doing something, and I'm not quite sure. I don't think as far as you are, but maybe I would love to, because you're very pretty. So I don't know if
Thank you.
if it's the weather doing it to you or what. And also I wanted to say that I love to cook too. I'm not a professional cook like you, but I understand, the cooking thing, because I love it. But I really admire you. I really do.
Oh, thank you, Miss Mary. I think being at peace and having less stress, and I feel more secure here. It's Africa. This part of Africa is very calm. Of course, I face my challenges. We all do. But like I said, it's typically culture and communication challenges that I know how to walk away from it and come home, But I'll be honest, when I get on an airplane and I head to America, I have anxiety.
Oh, wow.
When I come home, the last time I was home, I was there 3 days before I was in the hospital. I got COVID there too. I don't do well in America. I don't find that I'm as happy and as peaceful, because the propaganda, the stress of the media, the doomsday feeling, and just how America tends to feel. It doesn't feel safe for some reason. And I know that sounds strange, but for some reason here, I feel like if there's a problem, I could just run to the mountains. I could hide if I have to. I feel like I'm already in hiding, if that makes sense. So whatever it is you're about to do, or whatever it is that you feel, just tap into it, ask for the guidance, don't fear it. And it doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to try it.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Nice words. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Miss Mary.
Yes.
Do you have an emergency plan in case you become ill? Will your family come and check on you, come and see about you, or you're just saying, okay, chill, I'm good?
You always have to have an emergency plan. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, I make sure that there's enough money in my savings for any type of an emergency flight. An emergency flight from here is about $1,500. I have my daughter, who is my emergency help. If there's a problem, she has enough money where she can send a ticket. She also has a passport, so if she has to fly here, she can fly here. And so that's my emergency awareness. We know what hospital to find me at. I'm gonna go to Dar es Salaam, the big city, if there's an emergency. They already know me. All the major hospitals have already registered, so they know me, who to call. So that's my emergency plan.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right, how about the cost of living? Is it very affordable?
So the cost of living is about 60 to 70 cents on the dollar, okay? So that's already lower than the American dollar. Here we work in shillings. So they are 2.3 of a dollar. So $1 is 2,300. So for 2,300, I can buy at least 10 bananas and a mango. Does that make sense? That kind of help?
You're speaking my language.
Let's see, for 2,300, I could take a ride from one side of the city to the other side of the city. For 2,300, I can get one hand painted if I wanted my nails painted. So for two is 5,000. I'm trying to be, let's see, I can buy I can go buy at least 3 or 4 pastries and some fruit. I could buy a smoothie with that. That's just the beginning. That's kind of give you an idea. I could buy soap, toothpaste, a toothbrush for that, maybe something else.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Idea now.
yeah,
It's affordable.
yeah. So that's for $1. You can't
Wow.
buy 5 bananas and a mango for $1.
No,
in
those days are
America.
over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Miss D, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your life, your experiences. Thank you for allowing us to know that it's possible. The possibility is there for a better life. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Do you have an email? Do you have website? Do you have a Instagram? Share everything so that we can reach you.
It's so easy. You can literally Google Deelishishness, spelled the way it is here in the Zoom meeting, Deelishishness. I don't know where it came from, but it came to me in the middle of the night one night. And everything with that tag is me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Google, whatever, on Twitter, on YouTube. It's Deelishishness. And so if you want to know everything about me, my IMDb file, movie file is Deelishishness. So whether it's Deelishishness Travels, Deelishishness Butter, Globally Deelishishness, it's all deliciousness.
Beautiful. Now, where do we find the television show?
That will be on Taste on TV. You can download that right on your app, your Android, your iPhone. You can use your Roku. You can go to Apple TV. You can go to Amazon Prime. Download Taste on TV, and you can see the first episode right there for Deelishishness Travels. Check out the whole first series, but all the shows are still airing, all the old shows, but we're getting ready to come out. Like I said, with season 2, it's going to be bigger and badder and
Nice.
better.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for you. And
Thank you so
for
much.
what you're doing.
I just
how do you
thank you
think-
for your time,
Oh.
James. I love what you're doing. The moment I first talked with you, and you were very interested then. Your group has grown. Nomads Without Limits is definitely historical. I'm glad to be a part of it. And so I appreciate your time, what you're doing for the community of nomads. So nomadic life is not scary. It's
Thank you.
great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And we're all going to get there. We're going to
Yes.
find that place that we want, the place that makes us feel like home. We're going to get there.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you
One-
again.
one
Thanks
day at
for
a
your time. And
Thank you,
all I can
guys.
say is that you are living with passion. So don't stop.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.